daily game design time. We had a meetup yesterday, and I'm gonna make some tweaks based on the feedback. Uh, yeah, we had 5 people. It took a little time for people to show up, and we got going. It was a very nice time. Unfortunately, time management was a challenge, but we got through 3 games. There were potentially 4, and we'll make sure to prioritize Aaron next time. But yeah, I just really love these in-person opportunities, and anybody that's able to make it, of course, we love to have involved. Actually, I was gonna, yeah, I need to message Joe just to see. I'm gonna do that right now. If she'll be available at some point. I just don't want to forget. Okay, so what I found yesterday was that it still seems difficult to get past the mechanics and the components. So this is my first time this is my first time working on a Euro style game. It's my first time. Engine building, worker placement, all this stuff. My first time. And it's been about a year's worth of working on it, spending time on it. And honestly, it's been a really cool experience. I've actually, I think, learned a lot and really enjoyed it. So hang on one second. Yeah, I've really enjoyed the process, and I think one of the main things that's been really valuable is learning to break break down a game into its math. I'm not great at it. I haven't done it a lot, and I'm sure there are ways that I could continue, or that I could improve my analysis even of Sugar Shack and make some adjustments that are just mathematical, or that the motivation comes from understanding the math behind the game. So I still think, Chrome, what is that? Is there some kind of weird, oh, maybe it, oh yes. Okay, this is not supposed to be here. Okay. That's weird. Okay, I see that there was somehow a link that I dropped onto the screen. Okay. Very weird. Yeah, even though I'm sure there's still lots of room to grow, I think that's been a really cool set of challenges. And that's around learning what balancing looks like, how to make choices, how to present a variety of choices without being overwhelming. So like a bigger game, a longer teach, how to make that teach more manageable, how to give players a sense of change, growth, development over time. All of that is very cool. And it's new to me. There are other games I've worked on, little card games, things that, are much easier to manage. Like the decision space is more manageable. and I mean for players. So yeah, because the whole thing is simpler in general, it didn't have to deal as much with the challenges of things like balancing, things like presenting true choices and not like an obviously optimal path. All of that stuff is challenging. No, I feel like I've done a lot of work on this game. It still seems like it's difficult for players to get past some of the fiddly mechanics and the components. Now, this is one thing that's actually really helpful. The feedback, on some level, it's helpful. I feel like it's not really what I would be hoping to have feedback for. And in fact, I think I allowed myself to be irritated yesterday. This is a slight irritation. It's not a serious issue, but it's something that I wish it feels like if it feels like I'm kind of stuck on components when I'd rather figure out whether or not the game is fun. So it seems like it's hard. The game is barely playable, and this is an issue with like, you know, people not having repeat plays. I think it changes a lot if somebody has played a full game before and understands the system. But there were still things that distract away from the game making sense very quickly, and being understandable. Hang on, yeah, hey Seth. Yeah, no worries. We ended up with 5. The number was kind of interesting. We didn't quite get to everybody's game. I think that's the main weakness with these meetups is like time management is difficult for me, and then if we're not able to split up into groups, then it feels really difficult. It's hard to get 4 games in 2 hours, right? So it's just there's a little sacrifice there. Or somebody had to sacrifice. Last night was Aaron. I feel like Aaron doesn't get his games played. He hasn't in a while, and I don't feel good about that. He's a sweet guy. He can handle it fine, but we definitely need to come up with a little system, prioritize him next time he joins. We will. We did put one on the calendar for January, so I'm excited about that. Yeah. I was just sending a message real quick. Oh. The world is not gentle sometimes, so there may be an issue I'm gonna try to jump in and help with. At minimum, I'm proud of myself for not looking at the keyboard for that entire sentence. I think there was only 1 typo, maybe 0 typos just then. Seth, what is your typing speed? Adjusted typing speed? I imagine it's pretty insane. Not good, yeah, right. Compared to mine. Maybe a different question. How often do you have to look at the keyboard? Never. So obviously I'm not in school today, so I'm gonna take it a little bit easier. I'm not rushing. I started the stream like 2 hours later than I usually do, and um, wow. Anyway, got quite a bit of grading to do. I'm excited to get to that and just knock that out. I would guess I'm below 30. I know people with 100 plus words per minute. Below 30? I find that very hard to believe. I'm gonna find. Imagine getting the domain name here. I'm grabbing one right now. 1 minute typing test. This is gonna be one of those things, yeah, that I have to like to see my result. Okay. And how does it start? Oh, it'll start when I. So I'm not gonna look at the keyboard right now. Oops. Okay. Whoa. Oh my goodness. Wait a second. I did it. I'm looking at the keyboard. Is it better just to keep going, not stop and like fix stuff? That's so pathetic. Yeah, is it gonna let me see without 45 words per minute? No way. No way. That's not right. You're definitely faster than me. Oh, sure. Yeah. No, I'm almost certain that my high school buddy was like almost 200 words a minute, like insane. That's the kid that paid for his schooling by writing an app for as I think it was one of the first guitar tuners in an app store, something like that. Then he went on to work for YouTube when I think after Google bought YouTube. Anyway, a wild talent. Okay, so I'm gonna look at some of the 200 seems a little high. 3 words every second is a lot. Yeah, fair enough. Definitely over 100. Easily over 100. I kind of want to ask him right now. We haven't spoken in many, many years. There was a time when I thought I was a big deal. I don't know if you believe that, Seth. But I don't know if it's possible to believe such a thing. So there was a time when I thought I was a really big deal. And that included beliefs about my capabilities as a musician. This was like high school. I was writing songs, I was singing up front a lot, I was getting a lot of attention, and I started writing songs in 8th grade. back to Sugar Shack. Started writing songs in 8th grade and was performing a lot. I joined different like musical teams at school. I was starting to do like solo stuff and was getting recognized for that. And when I really don't know if, I mean, this is crazy now that I think about it. This was my friend Jason. Maybe I shouldn't name him. But this computer genius, and when I was in high school, I had my own computer in my room, which was, I think, unusual. And it was an old Windows 3.1 type of computer. It was like, not type of computer, but that's the OS I was running. It was Windows 3.1. It had like a disk drive. I don't know what else it had, but I had this in my room, and that also contributed to like, or me having the little bit of background. I worked in the computer lab and some other stuff, but I was not good with computers. Yeah, Windows 3.1. So I wasn't good with computers, but I had more background than other students. So I ended up working in the computer lab. Oh, by the way, I think the upgrades were very well received yesterday, so I think it's safe to say I'm just going to change that. Another thing I think I'm going to do is move all of the free actions onto its own player aid, onto its own card, because this did not get used at all yesterday. All right, so I remember having, this is maybe my senior year, so I was like at the peak of thinking I was super cool. You know, like I'm top dog. We had a very small school. It was pretty easy to stand out and to be like unique and recognized for like certain things. And I was pretty social. I wasn't a great leader, but I thought I was. And anyway, so it must have been during my senior year that my computer started having problems. Like to the point that like the hard drive, like we had to figure out how to like save stuff off, like figure out how to get things off the hard drive. Otherwise it was going to die. I don't know if you feel strongly about it, but page 4, put the 0 off the left side and align the 10, 20, 30 numbers on the right. Oh, here? So instead of the 50 hanging off. Interesting. You know what I hate is people having a hard time. I'm not a big fan of people suffering and struggling. There's a lot of suffering, a lot of struggling going on around here, around the world. But in particular, when it's people I have a friendship with, relationship with, it's I'm not a fan. How's my connection here? Let's see. Looks pretty good still. Okay, so now actually, now that I'm thinking of it, it might have been a couple years into college. It might have been because we ended up going to the same undergrad university. Regardless, I had this hard drive that had a lot of my old poems and songs on it. And it was the computer was starting to die or something like that. And so I couldn't get access to that stuff. So my friend Jason took the hard drive, spent a whole lot of time on it, like did whatever computer gymnastics he can do, and then he presented me, I think it was like for my birthday, something like that, like a Christmas gift. Like there was a giftiness about it that he like accomplished this big thing for me, and like gave me maybe a CD or some maybe another hard drive or something with all that data on it. So he saved my hard drive, didn't lose all my stuff. And you know, this is an illustration of how in my own head I was, how full of myself I was. Uh, I thought on some level, because he was a musician too. He liked to play guitar. He liked to lead worship. He was starting to write songs as well. In my little heart, my little selfish heart, I thought that what motive he had for fixing my hard drive was to steal my songs. How nuts is that? How nuts is that? And I think it actually came out in the way I received that hard drive. Like, I don't remember I may have hinted at it. I may not have received it like super nicely or something. But on some level, I think he understood that I was suspicious of him, and it ruined our friendship, as you can imagine. But that was the most insane thing. Like, doing that to a friend of mine, like being suspicious of their motives when the guy was just trying to help me out. Like, I was pretty deep into my own head, prideful, etc., etc. And we have never recovered, actually, after that. How crazy is that? Okay, so I'm going to make a few changes here. One is I'm going to reduce the cost. This was, I think, an important insight coming from yesterday. Reduce the cost of the mayor cards. The reason for that is that now that trophies are coming from all over the place, I don't need to make trophies feel so difficult to get, because they're going to be getting them a bunch of different ways. The other reason it's important is so that players have an easier time moving through the mayor cards, so that the game board is changing, so they're seeing more cards and getting the benefits off those cards. So I think this is an important step. One of the bits of feedback I've gotten, and one of the reasons I actually added this whole, where did that go? This whole thing here is that players felt like sometimes there were not enough options based on what they had. It even came up yesterday that there were not enough one meeple actions. Everything started feeling expensive. So this does expand things a little bit. What's great about the mayor cards is that they are expensive in syrup. There are not many situations where you have to spend a lot of syrup cubes to do something. So I think that's a nice shift of focus. Like, you really need your syrup production up to be able to get access to these mayor cards, to benefit from them. They're difficult to get, or they were difficult to get, for two reasons. One was that it costs 2 meeples two meeples plus syrup. But that's not it. There's also the condition, right? They're sensitive to the board state. Where are those? So like here, you need to have more than 2 or more trophies. Here, you need to have this much money. Here, you need to be able to spend 8. So just to get 4 back, to net 4 and gain a worker for next turn. So ooh, that is suddenly really cheap. I'm not sure that's a great thing. Cool, see you soon. Hmm. Okay. These look really cheap now. Yeah, so now that you don't have to spend a worker, I kind of feel like I need to make it at least... How do I do that? I feel like I should make everything at least 2 cubes. Otherwise, why are we even here, you know? Because it's pretty easy to get trophies, too. Like 3 or more, we can go there now. Whew, I feel like this condition should probably change. Like, as in, there's no condition at all. Nice. Welcome back. You know what I was thinking of doing? Oh, dang it. Because right now, the these mayor cards shut down one of the locations. They weren't originally like that, but I think doing it this way simplified the game a little bit. Like, it reduced the the number of rules. Because now all that happens is it just covers over a card. You don't have to explain anything weird about it. You just say it just covers, like, place the mayor card over that location. And I found that some players they still might want access to that location. Which is what the thing used to be. It used to be that if you went to a location, you could choose to activate the town card or gain the mayor card. That was a choice, and I think that's a fine choice. Oh, you know what? Now there's another type of condition that I could just add here. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna do it. Let me just find a good example. So I can just borrow this. How big is this one? 28.8. Fair enough. That didn't work. Maybe I should have gotten the size. No, I'm just gonna freestyle the size here. And we'll make this 3 plus. Yeah, I like this. I think this is simple. That's what's crazy about like adjusting one mechanic, or like what happened here was I moved the cubes from the grant office to the town hall, and that just opened up all of these other options. And now suddenly I have another condition to work with. And I think that's that's a tiring thing, but I think it's a really important thing. Is like remembering that every change potentially adjusts the design space in good ways. I mean, like with more opportunity. Not necessarily more sometimes. I guess if you cut stuff, it might reduce the design space, and that's also fine. But just remembering that there are knock-on effects for stuff like this. Like remembering to go back and like update stuff. So another example is now there's no difference. Ooh. Oh, I think we might have got it. So what Keanu recognized yesterday was that because of the latest updates I made, that the mechanic here, which was instead of sending cubes to the town hall, you could instead spend them for 2 money. Or you could spend, yes, like if you would send a cube to the town hall, you can instead send it to the flapjack house, and doing so would get you 2 money. Actually, I don't know if this makes sense either. Let me see. Not yet. No, that doesn't make sense either. What could this be then? Let me undo that. Maybe just make it more money. It's still a lot, but well, I mean that feels like a lot for money. So it's just a difference of 2. But you are sacrificing that cube for reasons other than like getting a grant office upgrade and stuff. So maybe that's fine. Oh, another tweak from yesterday was clarifying that this is the end of the round. End of round. Yeah, end of round. Okay, I think something I could do here is work on a play array that just shows the free actions. So I think I can do that. So I can actually remove all of this stuff here. Just get this out of the way. Make this bigger again. And so you're saying that 0 so this is still 50. I'll still leave 50. Wait a second. So I'll add one. Okay, make this a 1. Wait, is that right? 11? Like that? So then this would shift over here. One of the bits of feedback I got was, wait, what's wrong? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it can do that. 21, okay, 30. So I should just move these over here. $21, $31, $41. Like that. So one of the bits of feedback yesterday was just put numbers in all of the boxes. If I'm going to use this as a track, because one of the things was like actually wanting tokens, like spending actual, yeah, components to do this. But I think I'm still resisting oh, I never fixed this. So 50, 51 plus. I still wanted this to be a small box game. So just the more components, the more expensive, the more space, like that kind of stuff. So it's just one reason why I'm still resistant. Oops. 37. But this is fine. Hmm. I'm a little nervous to try tidy up with all these numbers sitting this way. I can probably do that fine. Yeah, so I'd like to make a track work if possible. What am I doing? I'm going to try a tidy up, but I have a feeling it's going to go crazy. I also thought this was a helpful idea because the purpose is to reduce the load on players, right? So they don't have to keep recalculating stuff. Not recalculating, but every time, you know, every time they pay for something, then not only do they have to calculate that, but then they have to do all this counting and like figuring to find the right spot. So I think this is the right call, just to reduce cognitive load, right? Even if it's not that much, I think reducing any friction at this point is really important. Because that's what I felt. That's what I saw yesterday. I saw quite a bit of friction. Even though, in my view, it's a pretty simple, like, smooth system, it's really not. That's the sad thing. It's just really not that. It's not simple. It's not smooth. It's a euro. It is. I mean, I have a little bit of room to negotiate with, you know, the complexity there and kind of keep the system like allow for multiple steps and things like that, but I don't think I want it to happen too much to where a player feels like they forgot a step. They regularly forget steps, or there's all this stuff to consider and it doesn't feel fun to consider. It's just work. So this is one of the things, like, it's just work to count up where you need to be and identify the correct square you need to place your little thing. So that's work. That's not fun. So we need to figure that part out. Tidy up. Okay, what happens if I... What happens if I try to tidy up all of these? Oh, I feel like it's gonna get confused. So I'll put this in here and start again. I actually cut the playtest short. It was toward the middle. Actually, it was at the beginning of the third mega round, the third week. I cut it short because the stuff that I was hoping would be working was not working. Like, no players. That doesn't look great. Neither of the players were using the free actions that I hoped they were, or that they would, and some of that was a UI problem. Like, they just kind of forgot that they were available. So need to get that sorted out. Like, how did this happen? Why is this considered tidy? Is there a space in there or something? No, it's just... What? Like, these are not at all centered, and I don't really get why. like it thinks they are somehow. That didn't do it either. That's okay. It's this kind of thing that feels like so goofy. Like, it's a great set of tools here, and then little things like this just don't quite work right. Then it just takes time that I don't really need to spend because it doesn't really matter where these numbers sit in the boxes. But it actually does matter to me. So one thing I can definitely, oh, these are already, those ones are actually not bad. So we'll line them vertically, can do that. Nope, that didn't help. Tidy up. Nope, that didn't help. It's so funny. Okay, and then I think this was also a suggestion from Keanu, is just to like gray out the numbers that are not typically as helpful as reference points. So just everything between the ones, fives, tens. Let's just make gray. A little darker than that. Also, I think this font is not amazing. Okay. That looks a lot better. I mean, it's busy, but it's still, I think it still works fine. Like, it's fine on the eyes. I also found that printing out what I made yesterday worked fine. My printer handled it pretty much to the edges. And so cutting out the stuff and like slipping it into the sleeves actually was perfect. Like, it was totally fine. So I was excited to see that. This will be 51 plus. No, it's still 50 plus, yeah. Because it's just marking it as more than 50. Yeah, I like that. Okay, and then this one, I'm just going to make it the free actions board, basically. So that means bringing this down. I think I'm still going to leave it on there. But just as a reminder, not as like the only way to know that that's a thing you can do. Oh, there's another. Where's that? The other free actions are right here. It's this one. This one's important to leave alone too, because it's not just a free action, but also it's an effect if you would overfill. If you would overfill your garage, then you have to turn a cube into a. What happened here? Copy. Oh, it was there. That's not my favorite place for it. So I can get rid of this now. And that's not what I meant to do. So with some of these things, I can add a little bit of text. So it's not my preference. I mean, ultimately, I want the game to be language independent as much as possible. So free actions. I was walking to my friend's house and said I ran into one of the people from the Halloween game night event. I can't remember his name, but he's the tall, skinny white guy who's interested in event planning and organizing. Oh, Daniel? Interesting. This is my friend Anthony calling. Hang on one second. My friend. Currently it's 9:30. It's only 3 hours. You know what though? I've been doing a lot better. Actually, I will prefer to call you back in a little bit, but I have been streaming every morning, and so I've been getting up almost every morning. So I've been getting up fairly early to do that, like 5:30 or 6, and that's been a huge positive change in my life, actually. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, man. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Yeah. So my day is totally unstructured. I'm finishing stream here in a little bit, and then you have a short lunch break right now, is what you're saying? Okay. Sure. Yeah. Surprise. Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm actually wrapping up in like 3 minutes. I just wanted to finish up a few details of something I'm working on. So maybe more like 5 to 10. But is that enough, or should we just do this program of texting in a few hours and checking? What's your preference there? Oh yeah. Okay. Okay. Well then, how about you text me when you're done with that situation? Awesome. Talk to you soon. Okay. Bye. Okay. So a free actions card, that's a little bit overblown there. Um, and I think I just tag it with this. Just up in the corner there, and I can explain it as any time during a round. Anytime. So I can just set this over here. Free actions. I don't know of a good layout for this card. So we just happen to be at the same street corner at the same moment and going in the same direction. Did you guys like acknowledge each other? Did you like chat, or was it like, oh, that guy looks familiar? Oh, great. Yeah, good. Daniel's a cool guy. I'm looking forward to working more with him on stuff. At least I assume it's Daniel. He's the only one that makes sense. Dang, you know what this also does? Is it like having a completely, like a different menu for free actions? It also invites some more design space. That's what this whole thing was. It's just realizing that I had a bunch of free actions I could do. Um, Okay, cool. Little concert. You know, I very rarely go to events, especially paid events. There was a group of friends going to Star Wars with a live orchestra, and I forget which movie it was. And I essentially committed, and there was some talk of a guy maybe paying for me, maybe not. I wasn't really sure. Anyway, so I committed, and then learned that it was $80 for the ticket, and that I nearly fell over. Except that, like, just recognizing that I'm probably not going to do this thing again. And it'll be a cool experience. It'll be memorable. It'll be my first time ever going to something like that. And if it's cool, it's cool. But like $80 in the scheme of a lifetime is not a huge deal. It's not a big problem, but it's definitely not something I would do regularly. I just need to remember, like, sometimes experiences like that are worth it. So, but I tend to be there's a word I'm trying to think of. What's like the negative version of frugal? Impecunious or something like that? Is that it? Let me look this up. I recently thought of that word. Having little or no money. So it's not. Oh, stingy is one. Cheap. Yeah, but I wanted to think of a fancy word. I know there was a fancy word. Oh, interesting. Likely ban evader restricted. Huh. Interesting. Ban for sure. It's nice that they have these systems somewhat figured out. Cheap synonym. Oh, so you can see that too, or you can see it because you're a mod. I guess you can see it because you're a mod, right? Miserly. That's penurious. That I think is the one I was trying to think of. Let me see if it's what I thought it meant. Extremely poor, poverty stricken. No. Parsimonious is another nice one. Yes. This one I like. Yeah, but it still feels positive. Parsimonious feels positive still. I think stingy is probably the closest. It's just not as sexy. Okay, nice. It's a little game. Okay. So it also seems like I can change this now. Because here's what's interesting. Now I have two meeple related free actions here. And one of them is a pink box. So this is like to fill this pink box. And this is the kind of thing I mean, like, it really I actually taught basically an academic style writing course, but maybe not. I feel like stingy is someone who doesn't pay their obligations versus someone who doesn't want to spend money. Oh, okay. Yeah, I would think of stingy as mostly related to whether or not they're interested in paying money for things. Yeah, interesting. Okay, free action now for the green box. It's funny, like, how these words feel differently to different people. I guess I don't know how the connotations really work and where they, like how they end up settling in with different groups or individuals. But I love that stuff. Something about that to me is so cool. That didn't do what I thought it was going to do. Debating the meaning of arbitrary Saturday. Have you played Blood in the Clock Tower? Yes, I have. That's a retreat staple, actually. They usually play it Saturday night late, probably after you guys leave. Yeah, I've played 5 or 6 times, probably. What do you think of it? Okay, I don't know what madness is in this case. I think I really don't like the drunk mechanic. No matter which, whether it's Blood on the Clock Tower or something else. Like, it's already a pain to come up with something to be pretty certain about, and then you confuse everything with that stupid stuff. That's okay, because in my opinion, neither does anyone else. It's really badly written. Okay. Huh. Yeah, I don't remember Madness. Also, this doesn't really make any sense. Okay, you're instructed to act like you are a role that you are not, or not act like a role you are. And if you don't do it in a way the storyteller deems proper, they might kill your character. Okay. Yeah, I wonder if our feelings on this are the same. I think the confusion that the storyteller can create in that game is not helpful to that game. Like the fact that they can just like give some people correct information sometimes or incorrect information sometimes. I think that's actually a problem of the game. Yeah, that they're more like a GM than just somebody who is there to facilitate like the nighttime actions. Like that they actually can like decide how, like who knows what and that kind of thing. I'm not a fan of that. Cuz it's already difficult to know what's true. It's already hard. Why Why give somebody the ability to make it harder? Not a big fan. Otherwise, I don't mind the game very much so. It's a game master rather than a facilitator, yeah. I get that it's one of the better games of that genre, or at least it's one of the. I think Josh thinks of it as one of the more gamery games. Like you could actually play it as a gamer. Not that it's more complex, but that you can actually reason through some stuff, which is cool. But then you have the GM who can just like throw stuff off, and then what's the point? I see the benefit of having a game master tip the scales to make the game interesting when it might otherwise be trivial. I don't know that I've seen that happen, but I see the potential. Yeah, see, I actually have I've never had a sense of the GM and their decision making. Like, I can't tell how any game I've played is different because of the information the GM gives players. So I just don't know how the games are more or less interesting, or whatever. Yeah, I have no idea. Also, I wonder if the free actions would be better. I can't zoom in and I don't know why. Let me see. That was weird. That is so weird. What if I do it on my laptop? My laptop works. Oh, maybe it's just that my keyboard died. So I ended up working on this more than I thought I would. Let's see. I think there's a sample size issue as well, where you only get into a specific information space one time, and then get one piece of information in that space, and then make your decision, and never have the chance to reevaluate that space with different information. I'd have to know a little more context for that. I'm thinking of there's one character who can tell if like two evil people are sitting next to each other or something like that. I think there are some abilities that if you're given correct information, they do hold up. Yeah, like they actually give you reliable information as you get to ask the same question over and over. Is that what you mean? Is that a little bit of an exception to what you're saying, or is it different, totally different from what you're saying? Yeah, I think that's what happened. My laptop or my Bluetooth keyboard just died. It's a problem with D&D games and the ways that some people run them. I can the n equals 1 problem. I call it the n equals 1 problem. For example, the DM makes a dungeon with 2 doors. One leads to a trap, the other to treasure. There's a puzzle to determine which is right, but the players only ever open one door. Right, which makes n equals 1 decision. So they don't know what the other option was. From their perspective, it's the same as if there had been only one door. I see, yeah. Right. Yeah, so like narratively, there's no way to backtrack and like try again. Even if like you understand on some level it's a dungeon, that you could go back through that door and look at the other door, but for some reason the conditions for that decision are never the same again or something. In Clock Tower, you only get to make the decision once, and it's practically impossible to come back to that situation. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. And I think that's why good information is so important in that game, and why it's like so weird that it's really difficult to come by, or like it's like why the designers made it so easy to cloud to obscure, to make unstable most information. That's kind of weird to me. Also, I don't love this. I don't love what's happening here. I don't love that now it's just a list of things. But maybe it's fine. This also might be better on on the differently oriented card, like on one of the portrait cards. So this really doesn't need to be here, because you really just need to spend, I don't know. It's kind of crazy. Actually, one thing I tried to design out of this game was the need for workers, and then I brought workers back after some designers like completely bounced off of the syrup as the worker kind of idea. Let's see. So the storyteller's role should be unnoticed. No one should be able to examine what would be different if they did something else. It should feel like there's only one path. I don't know if this is if this is different from what you're saying, but my claim about this and like information is something like, if a player is provided with the option of two doors, or picking between two doors, yeah, that if they pick the door on the right, the same thing is always behind the door on the right. Wait, so the storyteller's role should be unnoticed. No one should be able to examine what would be different if they did something else. No one should be able to examine. I generally agree. Yeah. Wait, I thought you were saying that you would like it if you could go back and reevaluate, or use the same reasoning or information, or the same type of reasoning and information to come up with, to reason to a certain understanding of the situation. I thought you were saying you would like that. In other words, something like the ability to go back to the same doors and choose the other door. You would like that, or you wouldn't like that? Because I'm not quite seeing, because the storyteller's role should be unnoticed. No one should be able to examine what would be different if they did something else. It should feel like there's only one path. In that case, that goes back to like, it doesn't matter what's behind the door, because you only it doesn't matter what is behind the other door, since you would only ever have one chance to check. Well, I don't prefer the backtracking. I prefer design that doesn't waste time and effort on second options that go unexplored. Oh. Okay. I feel like this now needs to be different. Or, well, this can come off of it. Yeah, this can definitely move. If there really are two options available to the player, that needs to be broadcasted to to them, and they need to understand their choice before they make it. So explore the option before you make it. Well, actually, okay, so maybe I'm understanding some of the thinking here, and that is, as a DM or GM, in some cases you need to force players down a certain path just because that's the one that you designed, and you want them to feel like they're making a decision, but really, no matter which door they picked, it's gonna open to the path that you've designed for them. So, like, there really is nothing. Yes, there's actually nothing behind the other door, but it's just presenting, allowing a player to feel like there was an opportunity cost even when there was none. That's funny and cool. A lot of video games use that because they have limited resources and everything is pre-generated. Yeah. Right. Yeah, there's a limit there, like there's the edge of the map, right? Like you can see beyond the edge of the map, but you can't walk any further because nobody put any time into building whatever that is. Is my keyboard back? Not yet. That's very weird, actually. Because now it's been charging for like 10 minutes. Maybe it's charging slowly. It's weird. It turns on. Well, anyway, I think I made good progress on this. I actually never got back to ADRA HQ. It's a little misleading there. This is one of the reasons why I stopped using wireless keyboards. Yeah. Usually it's been awesome. Like, it's great because now when I go into school, I just take my keyboard, I take my mouse, I set up my laptop. So it's like usually leaning against a stack of books. So it's like, it's as if the screen is raised up and it's comfortable because I'm not using that smaller keyboard. It's been awesome. It's just weird that it's misbehaving right now. Well, anyway, I think that's it for me today. I'm going to move on to grading and some other things, but happy hanging out with you, Seth, and anybody else who jumped in. So, yeah, looking forward to a good game night tonight and a productive week. So, yeah, hope you have a good day. Productive day. And I'll see you and talk to you soon. Yeah, okay. Bye-bye for now.